So, shall we do the usual 3, 2, 1?
Yep.
3, 2, 1 clap.
Yep.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Here goes. 3, 2... You prick. Three, two, one. Hello everyone, and welcome to Dark Natter, a local podcast for local people.
Very good.
It took me a while to come up with... No, it didn't. It took me about 10 seconds. I'm John Richter, by the way. you just keep clapping.
And I'm Clafty McClapperson, a.k.a. Liam Martin.
And we have to clap before we go on air to synchronise our microphones, and Liam keeps messing about, which is childish.
Very childish, but you know what?
Pathetic.
I'll make no apologies.
Good. I'm glad. Speaking of childish, no, that's not a very good segue. Anyway, what I was trying to segue into was the reason that we're here. Which, why don't you go on? You say it. You could introduce it. Fine. You want to clap? Clap away. Clappington.
Well, I don't know why we're here, quite frankly. We're here this week. Well, I'll tell you why we're here. We do a podcast where we talk about dark fiction. One of us pitches to t'other.
Aye.
We pitch a piece of dark fiction to t'other for a place in the hallowed halls of the Hall of Pain. That was good. And so basically, we take a piece of dark fiction, we say why it's so good, why it deserves a place in the Hall of Pain, and the other one decides whether or not it gets in. And so far, we've got 100% pass rate. Everything we've ever spoken about has got into the Hall of Pain. Makes me wonder why we bother anymore. And there you go. Was that good enough for you? I
think our little role reversal worked out quite well there.
It did, actually. Yeah, I'm pleased. Thank you.
And of course, the 100% hit rate is testament to our excellent taste. It's
Absolutely.
nothing to do with the fact that we're biased and we're picking our own things. But thankfully, this week, we can alleviate that problem, that complaint, that criticism that we just pick all our own favourite stuff, so it's a shoe-in, because we've got our first ever fan request.
Oh.
We waited for 23 weeks or whatever.
So was it one of your family members or my family members, or
it was
an actual person?
It was my mum.
Okay.
So what mum wants us... No, it was Abby, who I have met in real life and is really nice. Who I know through my literary connections, but I don't know Abby's surname. So
just Abby.
She might be happy that I'm not revealing her surname, I suppose. But
she might be Abby.
Wait, she might be Abby with that.
Is she somebody that they find that funny?
I think she would. Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. Well, she'd probably be disappointed so far with our poor attempts at comedy because she's got better standards, but at least
saying that, if she's been listening, this
that's
long,
true.
then
If she likes this garbage, then
I'm not so sure about that.
So I know her as Abby Editorial because she runs her own editorial service, which we should plug at the end, providing
maybe that is her surname.
Could Yes, I've always assumed that's a company name because she does proofreading, editing, copy editing, all those kind of services for any aspiring authors who want to get a book release but want to make sure it's not riddled with errors. But yeah, perhaps that's just her name.
Maybe she was born with that name and thought, well, there's only one career for me.
It writes itself.
Absolutely.
Well, regardless of whether that is your real name, Abby, or some sort of alias, we are honoured to take your request/recommendation and have a crack at it this fortnight. So we hope you enjoy the show.
And what exactly has she requested?
So Abby says that she is appalled by the fact that both of us had, until recent times, had never seen The League of Gentlemen.
Ah, so that was the local thing you were talking about.
You see, a local comedy show.
Actually, no, and she's absolutely right, because it is a travesty that I've never watched it. I've known so many people over the years who have, recommended it and said how much they love it, and I love what these guys do. I love some of their Inside Number 9 is brilliant.
Yeah,
you see them cropping up as well. Gatiss, I think, has been in like Sherlock and sort of hosted things about horror. So yeah, I mean, love the guy's work, but never watched it for some reason. I can't explain why either. Especially nowadays, since it's so sort of readily available. But no, never got around to watching it until recently.
Exactly the same here. Like, it's on Netflix, so really easy to watch, and I love exactly as you say. Inside Number 9, brilliant. I watched Catterick, the Vic Reeves, Bob Mortimer sort of one-off, daft, bonkers comedy drama, I want to call it, where Reece Shearsmith was in that as Bob Mortimer's, illegitimate son or whatever, and that was blooming hilarious. And yeah, so everything they're involved with seems to be really, really good. And also, so I guess maybe to just explain, The League of Gentlemen, in effect, is a pun on the fact that the very small cast of the show is all blokes. Pretty much 3 blokes, which is Steve Pemberton, Reece Shearsmith, and Mark Gatiss.
Yeah.
But in the credits, you'll also see another writer credited with his writing efforts for the show who does not appear in it, which is Jeremy Dyson. And again, even like Jeremy Dyson's done some great stuff.
Yeah.
Basically, I always wanted to write from a very young age, but I just didn't do, I wrote loads of stuff when I was incredibly young, and then I got a job, basically, and stopped writing for my entire 20s because I was too busy working as an accountant. And then I was about 30, let's say, and I bought, or was bought, a book of Jeremy Dyson's short stories. And to my shame, I can't... Oh, The Cranes That Build the Cranes, it was called.
Okay.
And it was just a collection of, like, dark short stories. And I just loved it. I thought it was brilliant. So much so that it kind of motivated me to have a crack at starting to write a few short stories. Wow. And then, 7 years later, I've written a few books and had books published and everything. So I can almost trace me sort of fledgling writing career back to that Jeremy Dyson book that I read.
Wow.
So, yeah... I think the guy is brilliant, and yet, for whatever reason, I've never flipping watched The League of Gentlemen, his kind of seminal, his seminal work.
It's true, though, because, I'm a big fan of his as well. I bought one of his Hoovers.
How long have you been
mate, you kept talking. I was waiting to say that one. But, no, well, I've seen... and I didn't realise this was him, actually, until sort of researching for the podcast. But he co-wrote Ghost Stories, which was a West End play, which I saw a few years ago, actually, with our good friend Hayden, who has appeared on Dark Natter before. He co-wrote Ghost Stories, which has also been made into a film. I wasn't a huge fan of the film, to be honest with you, but the stage show I thought was brilliant. I thought it was really good.
Do you remember it? I saw it, and it opened with, like, you're all sat in your seats waiting for it to start, and then suddenly the lights went out, and there was just this, like, like slobbering, terrifying noise came on, like the I don't know, the PA system or whatever. Did that happen when you saw it?
I can't remember that happening, but it may have done. Yeah. You sure that wasn't your... I was going to say your date eating pork scratch. I don't know. I'm sorry.
You were probably asleep, weren't you, to be honest?
Probably, yeah.
Your usual...
I think, actually, it was so good I managed to stay awake the whole for the whole show.
Bloody hell.
So that is impressive.
That is a ringing endorsement.
Yeah.
But yeah, in spite of this all-star lineup of writing and acting talent, neither of us had ever watched it. So in preparation for the show, we have watched the first series of 6 episodes. There are more series, and even I think there's a film, but I'm told it sort of starts to go a bit shit, and that the film isn't very good. And so rather than plough our way through all of that stuff, we thought, no, we'll just keep it concise. We'll just do series 1. We'll talk about that.
The one thing I did look at, however, is because one of the most famous characters from is introduced, I think, in the start of season 2. Yeah, I think he only appears in it, but Papa Lazarou.
I watched that one as well. Yeah. Like, hello, Dave.
Yeah, I was going to say that to you actually when we started this. I forgot.
We should have done that.
Hello, Dave.
He's doing his psychic reading.
Yeah,
that's funny, wasn't it?
But yeah, I've watched the first series so far, as you did, in preparation for this, and it was brilliant. And I think, regardless of what people say, I'll make up my own mind. I'll watch the other series of it and probably the film. I'm sure the film isn't great. A lot of these times when they do kind of make these film adaptations of TV shows, they're not always as good because they feel a bit baggy sometimes. Ali G and Kevin Perry and all that stuff. Having said that, when we were talking about this episode, doing this episode, we were going to talk about other sort of 90s comedies as well. And we were going to talk...
It was a 90s comedy, wasn't it? It was 99, I think, when the first season came out.
It was, yeah. Amazingly, I can't believe that, but yeah, it was
20 odd years ago.
And we mentioned Bottom to each other, and Bottom kind of did a spin-off film, Guest House Paradiso, and I actually quite like it,
which is really funny.
Yeah. So,
do you remember they changed a few things, didn't they? Like so if I remember rightly, in Bottom, you've got Eddie is Edward Hitler.
Yeah.
But Richie, does he have a surname, or is he just called Richard? He's called Richard. Yeah. But then in Guest House Paradiso, he's called Richard Twat. Yeah. But then he says it's pronounced Thwaite. Yeah. I should make. Yeah, the other half. I made her watch Bottom for the first time the other day, and she didn't mind it. I think she found it quite funny.
I don't think my partner would like it.
I pushed me luck and tried to get her to watch Drop Dead Fred, and that was a step too far. That
I haven't watched that since maybe I was like 13, 14, so I don't know if I'd still like it, but I'm sure I would. But Bottom, I still watch. I watch the birthday episode of Bottom every year on my birthday. It's become a tradition.
Which one's? I always get that mixed up. Which one's the
birthday?
That's not the one with Jesus in it.
No, that's the Christmas.
The Christmas one. Sorry,
the birthday one is when he breaks both of his legs, and they end up having that party, and he insults all the guests, and so they give him the bumps.
Is that like Spud Gun and Dave Hedgehog?
Yeah, they come over for his party, then he breaks his other leg, and then he's in the hospital. Then they have a real party, and then he comes home and ends up insulting everyone. But that's brilliant, that episode.
Do you remember the one where they play chess?
That's great.
And
they've
like Eddie's pawned all the pieces from his valuable chess set, so they have to use
you got like a Spider-Man, prawns,
prawns instead of pawns, and like ketchup bottle and stuff.
Yeah.
And then every episode devolves into fighting, doesn't it? So
just so much violence.
Yeah, he smashes the table on his toes and then like jams an umbrella into his groin.
And starts opening it. I remember getting the Bottom Live actually for Christmas when I must have been about 12 or 13, and it was really like adult, but I don't know, my mum and dad just didn't really. They just knew I really found it funny, and so it was kind of like, oh well.
Yeah, what are you going to do if you can't beat them? Join them, kind of.
I would never give that to my son now, even though I would probably show him Bottom. I think he'd find that quite funny.
Yeah, and there's a thing about like comedies. So obviously, Bottom was, I guess, kind of early 90s, whereas this is late 90s. And there was I don't know, this is a weird thing to say. I feel like there was this period where you went from because you only had 4 channels, so anything that was on was mainstream automatically because everyone watched it because there was only 4 things to watch.
That's right, yeah.
So then you got like cable TV, and suddenly you kind of had, I don't know, like alternative comedies that felt a bit more arch and a bit more niche and almost a bit more, dare I say, like hipster. So like just for example, people will probably send me, I don't know, hate mail. Like, I've never really got into the Mighty Boosh.
Oh no, I know exactly what you mean, and
I felt like I wasn't in the in crowd to kind of get it.
I agree with you to an extent, but I do actually really like Mighty Boosh. I think, in fact, a couple of bits, especially Papa Lazarou, kind of reminded me of Mighty Boosh a little bit, sort of Mighty Boosh characters. I think they must have been inspired by League of Gentlemen, because Mighty Boosh is quite dark as well.
Yeah, it was almost like the League of Gentlemen heralded this kind of this odd kind of very dark, because this is a dark fiction podcast, right? Like very dark, creepy, sinister comedy shows.
Yeah,
Mighty Boosh was one. Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. That's another one that springs to mind.
That's great as well. Do you like that?
Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah, thought it was ace. But and yeah, so maybe they did go into this slightly more, almost like intellectual kind of sinister kind of that became quite vogue for a little while, maybe.
In fairness to Mighty Boosh, actually, I say they may have been inspired by it, but it looks like they started doing a stage show of that around the same time. So
really?
It's probably unfair to say that it was inspired.
But
by it.
Who knows who was talking to each other?
That's
and
right.
All these ideas kind of percolated, but. So maybe the League. Well, we should probably explain what the League of Gentlemen is. After we've only been talking about it for 15 minutes. It's a British comedy show. As we said, 6 half-an-hour episodes comprise series 1. But it was in effect, it's a sketch show.
It is, yeah,
with lots of, fast-paced change, lots of different sketches with lots of different characters, all played by this incredibly small, incredibly talented, versatile cast. But it did have some kind of on-running narratives throughout the series.
Like a sort of structured sketch show, isn't it?
Which was good, I like that, because prior to this we'd had things like The Fast Show, which we all remember really fondly because it was just catchphrase. But it's when you watch it back, it's pretty dated, I find. It's not that funny anymore. It's a bit like...
Same with like Harry Enfield and stuff. You had Harry... A lot of sketch shows, weren't there, in the 90s? And they were pure... It was just sketch after sketch after sketch, completely separate from each other.
And often it was the same joke. So if you watch episode 1 of any of these sketch shows, it was really funny. And then you watch episode 2 and then 3 and then 4, and before you knew it, you're like, oh right, it's just going to be these same sketches over and over again.
And again, I loved Harry Enfield when I was younger. I loved The Fast Show when I was younger. So I'm not criticising these things at all. But this does like make a good point. It kind of is a sketch show, but it's got a sort of structure and a kind of... Yeah,
the characters are moving on a bit, and the story's sort of, some of it's just throwaway, but some of it is kind of progressing towards a kind of, there is a story, a finale.
It feels like they've taken the sketch show, they've kind of made it evolve slightly.
Yeah, I think so. And it's still got some dated things, like obviously, you've still got canned laughter in there.
And I noticed that was one of the first things that really kind of threw me, actually, because you just don't see that much anymore, do you?
It's really unfashionable now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't think of the last show I saw that... I mean, you wouldn't get a contemporary comedy show that's got like a laughter track on.
And it doesn't need it. I don't think it needs it at all.
No,
it'd be interesting to watch it without the laughter track, actually, because I just don't think you need it on this, but...
No, really strange, weird, historical, almost like it'll become like a very old-fashioned, people will look back, what? They used to have fake laughter piped in over the top of comedy shows to tell you when to laugh. It seems weird, doesn't it?
Because, obviously a lot of comedies nowadays, they still have, studio audiences, so you still get the laughter per joke. But, the canned laughter now, it just really doesn't just seems like a completely different time, doesn't it? And
I know.
And that was what surprised me when I when I first sort of heard the canned laughter and checking out when did this actually first air, and it was like, Christ, this... Didn't realise it was that old.
It's crazy to think how it's over 2 decades old that when this first came out.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, makes you feel ancient. But I suppose it might be worth talking about just in the context of that kind of narrative. One of the recurring sets of characters that do have a narrative throughout that 6-episode arc is Edward and Tubbs, who run the shop. and they're probably the most famous characters.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah,
they're the ones who pop up if you type in The League of Gentlemen, look for images. You'll see those two. They've got like their sort of piggy noses, where they've had the actors have got their noses kind of pinned up to make them look. Well, they're meant to be a couple, aren't they? A wife and husband, but they're meant to seem like they're inbred, I suppose.
Yeah. And I would agree with that, because I think, like I said, we've never until recently watched this before, and I knew about those characters. I knew their catchphrases, so that tells me that they're probably
the most well known. The most well known. And we failed to mention, actually, the setting of the League of Gentlemen is a fictional northern. I think it's meant to be set in Cumbria. Town called Royston Vasey, which actually is the real name of very, very old school British comedian Roy Chubby Brown, who was, knocking about and popular in the 70s, the 80s? I don't even know. He feels like he's been going forever.
He's still going now. I saw him actually at when I went to see Bat Out of Hell. He was in the audience, the West End show. He that is a throwback, so I can see why they that's picked kind him, of the joke. Because
the idea is meant to be that this town is really, really dated and backwards, and it's all northern white people, and they don't like outsiders and they don't like foreigners. Kind of humour, you know what I mean?
Well, it kind of reminds me where I come from. A place called Gloucester, and nearby you've got like the Forest of Dean, and there are sort of towns in the Forest of Dean where, with really bad reputations for kind of inbreeding, and I'm not criticising anyone who lives there, but
you told me about the Forest of Dean.
Yeah,
you once said, which was endearingly self-deprecating. You said like, I was the best looking bloke there.
Yeah, which isn't.
You're a handsome man.
Isn't a good thing. Yeah, I feared for my life. Actually, I went to the a cider festival, and I didn't really realise it was as sort of rough as it was. And Christ, there were just fights breaking out everywhere. There were just people having sex, just not even like hidden away, just literally just on the floor having sex.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
And where was this again? What was the address?
I'm not saying because I don't want to. Okay. But it was a place in the Forest of Dean, and
I'll make sure I get some tickets for when the lockdown's over.
I like I say, I'm not insulting everyone who lives there, but there are just elements of some of these places
that were very familiar. And like I'm from Wigan, which is not, again, it's that's quite a big town. It's not a complete middle of nowhere town.
Yeah.
But there's that, the further up north you go and the more remote you get, the more completely white communities of potentially inbred people that lived in the same village for decades and centuries, and so there's just a lot of, you could relate to some of what they were taking the mick out of.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so Royston Vasey is Roy Chubby Brown's real name. I've just looked him up. He's 75 years old, still going, still active, and genres: blue comedy, insult comedy, sarcasm, self-deprecation, and political satire.
Political satire.
Okay. Apparently, he does a bit of political satire, and he appears in the show, doesn't he, as the mayor?
Is he?
Yeah. Oh, did you not know that?
No.
Yeah. Apparently, I haven't. This isn't in series 1, but in a subsequent series, he appears as the mayor of Royston Vasey. And sorry, we went on a bit of a ramble there, but a good one. But back to Edward and Tubbs.
Oh yeah, Christ, yeah, we were talking about that. League of Gentlemen, that was it. Yeah,
3 hours ago that was. So they are a couple that, oh God, how do you even explain this? They run a shop that seems to be like in the middle, on the outskirts of the village.
It's like on a hill, isn't it?
Barely accessible in the middle of a kind of walking, rambling kind of hiking trail, I guess.
And it's literally called Local Shop, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just called Local Shop. And so people always blunder in, oh, hello, have you got the directions to Royston Vasey? And Tubbs always expresses horror that there's a customer in her shop. Yeah. And she's like, oh, don't touch the precious things of the shop.
Yeah.
And then after creating this massive fuss where she basically accuses whichever poor unfortunate wanderer has stumbled in of, basically trying to sexually assault her, which they never have, then the husband will come out and he'll be like, what's going on? We'll have no trouble here.
Yeah, this is a local shop for local people.
And she'll be like, this man tried to touch my whatever, and just ridiculous farce. But
quite funny though. It is funny.
It is funny.
And then they end up murdering them and burying them.
Exactly, and then the sinister bit is they'll end up killing the person and, I don't know, crucifying them or, doing some sort of pagan ritual with the corpse. It's just really weird.
Yeah, so I suppose, just to explain, if you've never heard of it, well, this is kind of where the dark fiction comes into it, because it is a comedy show, it is a comedy sketch show, but there's sort of things, like inbreeding, murder, cannibalism. I think the butcher, it's kind of implied, isn't it, that
it's human flesh.
It's human flesh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one, actually. Well, I was going to say there's name your favourite character, but yeah, I'm trying to think of some of the darkest. There's that vet, the vet who's really crap at his job and he constantly accidentally kills
hilarious
all the animals.
When he comes in to put a dog down and the guy leaves the room. And so he puts the dog down, but then the guy returns with the dog that actually was ill, that needed putting down.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, have you been all right with Whiskey, me dog? She's she's my best friend. Anyway, here's the dog that's dying. Will you?" And then the vet's like, "Oh, you might need to sit down. I have some terribly bad news. He's just killed his dog."
I really liked the vicar, actually.
Yeah, the horrible vicar.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of anything that... Is it a bloke or a woman? I can't even work out.
I wasn't sure either, but it's a woman, Reverend Bernice Woodall.
That's it. So it's Reece Shearsmith playing a female vicar who's just really foul-mouthed and like a real chip on her shoulder.
Yeah.
Constantly slagging everyone off.
Yeah.
Like, you're singing your hymns. Yeah, well, you're fucking whatever.
There was one really great bit when she really going off at the congregation.
What about? I can't remember what it was about. What was it about?
Well, I don't know. She's just saying about sinning, going to hell, and then it turns around and she's at the school talking to load of kids.
No, it's not the congregation. It's all little 6-year-old kids at school. Brilliant.
And
that's it.
That was introducing the travelling stage show, the Legs Akimbo.
Yeah.
And they're doing
the theatre company.
The theatre company performing at school, with their latest show being about homosexuality, and just end up having this big meltdown on stage because one of them's leaving, and
one of them's got a job on like a part on telly.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Oh, yeah, remember when you saw this actor because he's going on to be on TV? Of course, he's probably decent at this level, but he'll be completely out of his depth on the telly, and he'll be rubbish, and he'll embarrass himself, won't you?"
and it's implied that he only got the gig because he slept with the casting director, who's a man. So yeah, it's just it was good.
My overall favourite character in it, on balance, I think, is Pauline.
Pauline's an interesting one. I agree with you, but Pauline was the one. So Pauline, just to explain, is the she works at the job centre, and
she provides the training to basically a load of job seekers who are looking for work. She's meant to be coaching them and giving them interview skills, but she's just an absolutely horrible bitch who's completely just undermining all of them, and all she wants to do is insult them and mock them for the entire of the session.
I agree. She's probably one of my favourites as well, but actually watching it kind of reminded me, it made me realise, this is actually just a sketch show, and because that would be one of the sketches every week, and it kind of reminded me almost a little bit of Little Britain, which I believe came after this. I could be wrong there, actually.
No, I think it definitely. I'm positive it did.
It feels like it did, but...
and I know what you mean. I don't like Little Britain.
No.
Not a fan at all I'm not a fan of David Williams, to be honest. I'm not a fan.
No, I used to really like when they did Rock Profile before Little Britain, but carry on.
On UK Play.
Yeah, that's right.
And I suppose he was in that episode of Spaced, wasn't he, where he was pretty funny.
He was good in that, actually. Yeah, that was brilliant. Yeah, he was great in that. But yeah, sorry, Little Britain did come afterwards. But yeah, carry on, sorry.
Well, no, I agree, though, that there were it had the feel of more like a Little Britain sketch.
It did, yeah.
Yeah,
but it was funny. So,
that bit. Do you remember the one where So obviously, it's a load of job seekers who a few of them are kind of stereotypically sort of disengaged and not bothered and just not paying attention. One of them's this guy called Mickey, who's he's got learning difficulties, so he just can barely keep up, and she's always talking down to him and mocking him and being horrible. But then he sits next to this guy who's clearly very articulate and intelligent, but just happens to be out of work, and he's just completely offended at having to even be there and disgusted at Pauline's behaviour. So any opportunity he has to put her in her place, he'll take it. So there's that episode where Pauline is trying to role play in an interview situation. For some reason she gets him to interview her.
Yeah, and that's brilliant.
He asks her a load of difficult questions. She tries and struggles to answer them, and in the end he tells her she hasn't got the job. So then she just smashes him in the face with a clipboard and bursts and breaks his nose. I had to rewind that and watch it about 3 times.
Yeah, that I love the job centre stuff. Actually, it is really good.
Anyone else who you particularly liked from the show?
Trying to think now.
There's that guy. You know, like the really depressed. There's that little crew of fellas who all work together who are like, I don't know, building contractors or whatever they're supposed to be.
That's great, yeah.
Yeah.
He always goes crazy, doesn't he?
Yeah, one of them's clearly his wife's left him and he's on the verge or in the process of having a mental breakdown. And he's just constantly teetering on the brink of either killing someone or committing suicide. And when you're trying to describe this, it's like, why is that funny? But it is funny because you can sort of relate to it, and it's just so awkward that it's like they go out for a meal and he's trying to get that bloke to tell a joke to the other bloke.
That's right, yeah.
And then he keeps interrupting. No, you're telling it wrong. You're ruining it. And then by the end of that scene, he's got a gun out and he's got him at gunpoint. Yeah. You're like, laugh. And then they just go back to normal and it's all fine afterwards.
I liked the guy and his wife, Stella, when they went to the Italian restaurant. Yeah, Charlie and Stella, and they're like, clearly they're having like marital problems. They really sort of despise each other, but they're putting on this front whenever the waiter's around, whom they call Luigi, who's actually called, I don't know, something like Ian or something. I can't remember.
Steve or something. Yeah, he's not, and you think he's an authentic Italian, and they're like, oh, Luigi, and trying to have a laugh, and then as soon as he goes away, they're like, you fucking, I hate you.
They're like, hey, Luigi, explain to me how you can lose 20,000 pesetas on the gambling sheets or like that. That was great. I like that.
They're like, Luigi, please, save our marriage, Luigi.
Yeah, I did like those two.
That was very good. There's loads of them that are like, me wife's left me and so I'm miserable gags. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of that same pathetic man humour.
Definitely, which we seem to really enjoy. I'm not sure
why. Which we can relate to for some reason. Can't imagine why. Do you remember that one when there's a bloke who's... This is just a one-off, I think, but he's taken a group of like potholers down into a cavern, like a cave. Like tourists.
Yeah.
And he keeps talking, he's like, and then if you look upwards, you'll see the stalactites, and they're in a unique formation that's revered all through the north of England. And if you look to your right, you'll see the stalagmites sticking up out of the water, almost like a poor young boy's hands clawing for salvation as he slowly slips to his death. It turns out that he's like, someone died on one of the tours, and he's completely traumatised by it.
I quite like... So I suppose we say how it kind of begins, really. We're introduced to it by...
I've forgotten. What is the opener?
It's Reece Shearsmith, isn't it?
Yeah, because he's sort of our... So often when you have a show or a story that's about a weird place, you have like a sort of an audience, whatever you'd call it, avatar. Yeah. So like an outsider who is going to that place, so you can relate to the outsider and learn about it through them. And it starts
Benjamin.
off...
Benjamin, his name is, yeah.
Yeah, is he there to meet a relative or a...
He's there to meet his friend for like they're going on like a hiking sort of holiday type thing.
And he has to move in temporarily with... Is it his aunt and uncle?
He's just staying there one night, yeah, but I think it's his aunt and uncle. I'm pretty sure it's his aunt and uncle. But yeah, his friend actually is the one who gets murdered by Tubbs and...
yeah, that's it. Tubbs and Edward.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one when they...
Sorry,
you carry on.
Well, I was just saying, please. So we're sort of introduced to the Royston Valley kind of through this guy, like you said, through his eyes, Benjamin, and he stays with his aunt and uncle, and I think their stuff's quite good as well. Because again, that they're sort of like insanely house proud and you can't
like
sit anywhere. You can't.
Different...
They keep talking about masturbation and like, you know, if you're gonna, don't masturbate in this house. And but it just not the masturbating thing, but it just reminds me of my own parents a little bit. Like my mum just, this is a new sofa, you can't sit on it. Well, it's like, well, why the fuck did you just...
Why'd you buy it then?
Yeah, that's what we're supposed to do with it.
Yeah. Don't go in the living room because you'll ruin it.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, where do we live then? In the kitchen.
Did make me laugh.
Yeah, and they've got the uncle character, I can't remember his name, but they've done that thing that they do with a few of the characters where he's got like really grotesque sort of... It's not makeup exactly, it's almost like... what would you call it? Sort of latex kind of stuff on his face. So he looks really... He's got like a horrible, like, jutting out cheeks and like a creepy smile. Looks like the Joker in the 1989 Batman movie.
Yeah.
But
it is a bit actually.
Quite a bit of that.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. That
creepy looking characters all over the place, and a lot of them have those noses as well.
That's
like,
right. So it's sort of yeah.
They're all related.
Yeah, the Dentons, isn't it? That's the one. Yeah.
Oh, is that what they're called? I've forgotten. I can't remember.
And they've got twins, which there's a bit of a sort of Shining vibe to them as well. They
that's true, actually.
Sort of suddenly appear, don't they?
They speak at the same time and never smile kind of thing, even though they're just little girls. They're really creepy.
I did quite like that guy as well. There was a blind man who came to sit on a bench, and the guy's like, there's someone next to you, by the way. And then again, he just ends up going crazy on the guy.
That really awkward.
Yeah.
Like, he reminds me of basically my dad, in that he's very old fashioned. So he's obviously inherited, grown up with loads of prejudices against, whatever, unconscious or biases. And he's desperate to kind of prove that he's really open-minded and tolerant.
Yeah.
But he just digs himself deeper and deeper into a hole, and he's like, oh no, I didn't mean to offend you. I know you're blind, but I'm sure you get by okay. You've got that funny writing, haven't you?
Yeah, they're sticky uprighting or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, I'm sure you can meet, you don't have to be alone forever. You'll meet someone else. I'm sure there are other people like you.
And he can't...
I've got a wife.
He can't get his head around the fact that this guy's like watches TV and stuff. He's like, oh, you can video things these days, and
I've forgotten his name though. But yeah,
I don't know his name. I'm not sure his name. I think he's only in it maybe, can't remember,
a couple of times.
Yeah.
Oh, funny. So yeah, I agree with you. I will have to watch more of it because I did not only did I enjoy it, but I find myself like I liked a lot of the characters, so I'd like to see what they get up to.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, we don't know obviously how it turns out, but yeah, sometimes when you get criticism of shows like this, and you can understand why, but sometimes I don't always agree with. People say, "Oh yeah, it kind of lost its way a little bit." Sometimes I think when things get too popular, some people, especially cult things, some people just kind of turn their back on it slightly. So I'm always a bit sceptical. Actually, did it get crap, or did you just get annoyed?
Stop liking it because get annoyed that it became popular. And we've talked about that before, haven't we? Like how there's almost like everyone starts saying what they've heard because it's kind of the safe opinion to have. So if it becomes generally accepted that this show went bad in its later seasons, people will say, "Oh yeah, that show, it went bad, and it's seasons 2 and 3 weren't as good," when they haven't actually even seen it.
Yeah. So I will be interested to see where it goes. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I think it was great, and I think it was a very good recommendation from our friend Abby Editorial.
Indeed. Hey, I've just looking up Abby actually online, and it says she's from. She was originally born in a small northern village called.
God.
Oh, Royston Vasey.
Jesus.
Oh.
It's all starting to make sense.
It is. And actually, I said we'd met that time, and she did invite me to come and look at her shop and try and kill me. Oh, where's this going? Where's this guy going?
I'm not sure.
Hey, do you remember, speaking of tubs, do you remember when they crucified that chimp and then put a pig's head on it?
Yeah.
Because there's that bit where those people, that's another one of the narratives, isn't it? There's people trying to build a new road.
Yes, that's right. That's kind of the main sort of narrative, isn't it? Going through the whole series.
Yeah, new road. Oh, what will happen when new road comes, Edward? And trying to scare him off, they make this kind of disgusting effigy that is part pig they've bought from the butcher's pig's head and part chimp that they've abducted from that bloke who has a zoo on a roundabout.
Yeah.
And then so you get this crucified monster with like a pig's head sewed onto a chimp's body, and then the police take it to be autopsied, and they get that like sort of scientist turns up and he's like, "Oh, I've seen life
that's great.
Red in tooth and claw," and then he sees it and he immediately spews up inside his biohazard mask.
Yeah. And then they're just about to do it. I think they make some big, like, oh my god, this is
a new life form.
Yeah, and then they get the call that a chimp has gone missing from the local zoo.
Oh, very good. We're laughing about a chimp being abducted and murdered.
Oh, I'll tell you another really disgusting bit as well, which is, I think it's in the same episode actually, when the twins want to play with Benjamin. When the Dentons have gone out and they're throwing the frogs around and he's blindfolded, and then the Dentons come back and one of the frogs is like on the heater and the other one he steps on, and it's all like sort of melting into it's just really
and it shows a really
grotesque,
long close-up of his toad, this rare beloved prized toad of his uncle, like melting into the heater. There's
it's like bubbling as well.
Oh, it looks like something from Gremlins. Hey, Gremlins, we've never done Gremlins, have we?
Yeah, we could put it on the list. It's on the list, I think.
Season 2, mate.
Season 2.
Well, but maybe we should make our final decision on whether the League of Gentlemen merits a place in the Hall of Pain. And then we could detail our plans for upcoming episodes, maybe.
Okay,
just to tantalise the listeners.
Yeah. I love that idea. Lovecraft.
I will love crafting those episodes with you.
I twin that.
Maybe we should give people a sneak peek.
Oh, very good. Yeah. Anyway.
Hey, listen, we don't want them to lynch us. So raise your hand if you think that the League of Gentlemen deserves a place in the Hall of Pain.
There you go. It's unanimous.
It's unanimous. Is your hand up? Mine's up.
Mine is up. Yeah.
It's good. Yeah. It's in. Excellent. Well done, League of Gentlemen. And Abby, thank you once again for your recommendation. We enjoyed it. It was dead good.
I can't believe it. Yeah, another one goes into the Hall of Pain.
Wow, that is... Who'd have thought that 45 minutes ago when we started this episode that we'd have been celebrating the 23rd entry, I think?
Yeah, 23rd entry into the Hall of Pain.
The League of Gentlemen. Is it the three of them, the cast members plus Jeremy Dyson? Is it them four we're going to put in? Or is it every character? So there's about 37 of them?
Every character.
Including Pauline.
And also...
Honoured.
Check out their other stuff as well. Inside Number 9. We could do an episode on that. Brilliant.
Oh, just the first episode of Inside Number 9 is incredible. I think it's called Sardines.
Yeah. Have you seen the one in the call centre?
Nope.
The like suicide hotline centre.
No, not seen it.
You should watch that one. That's my favourite.
I'm serious about this. I might go and suggest to my other half that we watch one right now.
It's Inside Number 9. It's up and down. I think the first series is arguably the weakest one. There are definitely some episodes that are just a bit meh, but when it's good, it's really, really good. It's great.
And I admire anyone. It's like Black Mirror, which is another thing we haven't covered. I admire anyone who can make a series of one-off stories, all of which are very different, and that takes...
Yeah.
It's a lot harder because you have to do everything from scratch every time. It's not like, you've just got some established characters and you just chuck them into a new situation. So good on them. Well, as we alluded to in our earlier crap puns, we've got 2 episodes left before we're going to... That's it, 25 episodes, and that will be the finale, the end of Series 1 of Dark Natter.
Please tell me there's not a season 2.
Well, watch this space. So 2 episodes to go. We thought we would do a couple of big hitters. Episode 24.
Come on, surely we should do something that, is... There's a chance it won't get into the Hall of Pain. Come on, surely.
Well, we will see. We'll see. I mean, the next episode we're going to do Twin Peaks.
Oh, it's guaranteed.
Because we're both massive fans. But you never know. Something might happen between now and the recording. David Lynch might. I don't know. I wouldn't like to speculate. To be honest, he could do anything and it'd still get in. Do whatever he wants. He's got a free pass from me. And then finale. Big season finale. What's it going to be, Liam?
HP printers. Lovecraft.
HP source.
HP Lovecraft.
Yeah, he is. What would you say about Lovecraft? His shadow is cast across the entirety of pop culture these days. If you've ever watched a horror film that's got tentacles in it, it's thanks to him.
He's a shoe-in. They both are. Come on, give me a challenge.
Or are they? And if anyone's got any suggestions, any listeners would like to write in, like Abby did, then don't bother, because
Did she write in?
We're showing up shop in 2 episodes. Yeah, she wrote in. She sent me a letter with via carrier pigeon, actually.
Excellent. Cold Comfort, by the way, is the name of the Inside Number 9 episode.
Okay, all right. All right.
It is good.
I might go and stick that on.
But there are lots of good ones. Yeah, there are lots of good ones.
Well,
go on.
No, I think that's it. I haven't got anything more in the tank.
Me neither.
Do you want to do... Didn't we agree on an outro last time? Like a sign-off?
Oh, shit, I can't remember what it was.
It was really good. It wasn't good. It was terrible, but I feel at least we had one.
Okay, listeners. Thank you for joining us on this trip down dark fiction avenue where we passed by the Hall of Pain and opened a door and let something else.
Very good. I like it. I like what you did.
Is that okay? Perfect. Oh, I got real tickle in my throat then.
You've tickled me as well.
Thank you for joining us. Come back again.
Yeah, thanks. We'll speak to you in a couple of weeks.
For the Hall of Pain.
We'll speak to you in a couple of peaks.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Is that it?
Goodbye.
Bye.
Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for listening, everybody, to another edition of Dark Natter. It's nice to close out with our usual theme tune for a change, as we haven't used it for a while, so thanks as always to Ross Budgeon for the creepy synth sounds. If you enjoyed the show and want to support us, you can do so by leaving us a 5-star review on your podcast listening service, or even better, by telling your friends, family and fellow dark fiction connoisseurs all about us. Please also follow us on social media, where you'll find us on Instagram at Dark Natter Podcast, or on Twitter at Dark_Natter. If you're interested in hearing more about my own dark fiction, which now encompasses crime thrillers, horror stories and cyberpunk, then visit my website at www.john-richter.com, that's JON-RICHTER, for more information, or just search for John Richter on Amazon. Thank you once again, and we'll see you all next time for the penultimate episode before our season finale. Goodbye for now.